As we've been telling you, the Obama administration this morning is facing three major controversies. Former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld served 4 Republican presidents. He did so in times of war, scandal, and judgment calls. His new book is titled Rumsfeld's Rules: Leadership Lessons in Business, Politics, War, and Life. Secretary Rumsfeld, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
We want to get to you in a minute about some of the issues facing this administration, but I do want to ask you about your book, Rumsfeld's Rules. And you wrote this, you've had these around for years. In fact, President Ford had you hand them out to everybody in the Ford White House, right?
He did indeed.
These are life lessons, right? Where'd you collect them all from?
Of course, they're not all Rumsfelds. They're
Yes.
from very wise people like Sun Tzu or Clausewitz. And
Confucius, Churchill.
I do want to, this is in the beginning of your book, because many people have read your rules before. This is when you wrote your father during World War II, and you said you were going to quit the Boy Scouts to play sports. And your father wrote back. Do you remember it, or should I read it?
I do know. He said, "That's terrific, Don. Do that. You go ahead and quit the Boy Scouts." And he said, "Next month you can quit something else, and then you can quit something. Pretty soon you'll be a good quitter." And I wrote that down.
And thus became a lifetime of collecting quotes.
Exactly. My mother was a school teacher, so she started me off with, I still carry a 3x5 card.
To write down different.
To write down.
Yeah, so if someone says something memorable,
that you
you'll see me write it down. Charlie, you know that.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I like that. You also say in your book that bad news does not get better with time. If you mess up, fess up.
Oh, absolutely.
I like that one.
And
Why is that important?
Well, it's important because people can procrastinate. They can see something that's a problem and think, well, maybe it'll go away, or maybe it'll get better with time. And that's particularly true of personnel mistakes.
Yeah.
They don't get better with time either.
And one that really fascinated me about you, Donald Rumsfeld, you said criticism can be good for you. When is criticism, you said, is not always bad, it can be a good thing. When has criticism been good for you?
Well, you know, I've never had a shortage of it. And it is helpful because it is how other people perceive what you're doing. Now, the other side of the coin is dogs don't bark at parked cars. If you do something, somebody may not like it. If you don't like that fact, then you better not do anything.
A couple of questions. One, why didn't you go to President Bush's dedication of his library?
I went to a wedding in Florida of a third-generation high school classmate's granddaughter that has been very close.
Because everybody else was there.
It was a
Cheney
terrific party. Cheney told me it was a great party, and I talked to several
In no
people.
way was it a rebuff of the president.
Oh, my goodness, no.
Secondly, Washington today. I mean, you've been in Washington many years. What does it feel like to you? Because the president is getting a lot of criticism, which should debunk the notion that somehow the press doesn't criticize Democrats. But the atmosphere, what does it feel?
They're in crisis mode. There's no question about that. And they're still in a mode, if you're a Navy pilot and you're lost, the first thing you know is you climb, get some altitude, take a deep breath, conserve, and then confess. And they aren't doing it. Climb, conserve, and confess. And they aren't doing it yet. They're still trying to lay off blame. The only thing the president's really taken responsibility for is SEAL Team 6 killing Osama bin Laden. Oh, pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close, Charlie.
All right, let me take a look at this picture here before I go. You'll see something that I want you to see. Where is this photograph? We have a look at that, and that's a younger Norah O'Donnell traveling with you to Afghanistan. Remember that?
She was a terrific member of the Pentagon Press Corps.
Did I grill you on the plane enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Plenty.
Yes, did I grill you on that? That was a long time ago. I know, 10 years ago, going to Afghanistan. One of your rules is it's easier to get into something than it is to get out of.
That's
and
the
10
truth.
years later, we're still in Afghanistan, Secretary Rumsfeld.
It is. It's. I worry about it, to be honest. I think I'm not there and I'm out of date, but when I was in office, we had something like 23,000 people in Afghanistan. President Obama has, at the peak, 100,000. And you worry about what the role is and what we're trying to do, because I just don't believe our country's capable of building other nations. They have different cultures, different histories, different neighbors, different problems, and
Is that what we learned in Iraq?
Well, I think we've learned it both places, yeah. I think once you get mission creep and you go from attempting to change a regime and get the Taliban out to staying and building a new nation, you make a mistake.
We're going to have to end it there, Secretary. It's great to have you here because we have the ladies at the talk coming up. I saw you in there chitty-chatting with that.
They're terrific.
Yes, they really are. May I mention your book one more time?
Oh, yes.
Rumsfeld's Rules is on sale now wherever you like to buy your books.